doing fine. It's a living life.
Namaste friends, and welcome back to the Way Yoga. My name is Sarah and I'm going to be your instructor for this yoga class that's going to address burnout. Now, we've all been there at one point or another. Maybe we're feeling physically overexhausted, maybe overexerting ourselves in some way, but also on an energetic level, we might also be leaking some of our energy, some of our vital force unconsciously. So what this class is going to do today is going to help you recalibrate, get back in the flow, and just in a way that's not super technical, okay? This is especially ideal if you're just feeling a little bit low on energy, but you know you need to move your body, okay? So nothing too difficult here today. For today's class, you will not need any props. However, you're always welcome to grab those and have them at the ready, whether that's blankets, bolsters, blocks, you know what to do, okay? So as you're getting your things, as you're getting settled into your practice, we're gonna start off in an easy seat, just like I'm demonstrating here. I have my right leg forward. We will switch our legs at some point, so don't worry on which leg you start on, okay? And as you're getting settled in, I just want to take this moment just to introduce myself to you all. So again, my name is Sarah. I have been teaching yoga for the last 10 years. I've been a student for 15, and I just love getting on here. I love sharing my knowledge. I love sharing my experience with you all. So thank you so much for joining me today if you are new, and thank you so much for those of you that are returning. I really appreciate your support, okay? So starting off from this easy seated position as I'm demonstrating here, we're gonna just take this nice and simple today, okay? First, let's start by tuning into our breath first and foremost, okay? So you can close your eyes or you can simply keep the gaze maybe just a little bit softer than normal. Yeah, but let's just take this moment to anchor into our practice. Yeah, and if you want your breath to be a little bit more audible today, so what I mean by that, on your next inhale through the nose, we'll take that breath in, and then exhale. You can just, literally sigh it out, okay? We're just flowing today, nothing too crazy. So inhale through the nose. Exhale, let that energy go. Beautiful. We'll take a few more rounds of breath. Just starting to establish a steady rhythm, a steady cadence that you can sustain for the duration of the practice. Beautiful. Now staying with that rhythm, staying with that breath, we're gonna go ahead and softly blink the eyes open if they're not already. And we're just gonna take this nice and simple. So again, nothing too technical here today. We're just gonna flow and shift our energy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my hands either to the tops of the thighs here. Some of you may wanna take your hands to the shins, whatever feels most comfortable for you. But we're simply just gonna take the trunk here as I'm demonstrating and just go in some small circles. Yeah, and you can make this as small or like as big and dramatic, pausing in any places. So like I said before, sometimes when I feel like I'm really low on energy, sometimes I just need to simply move, right? And I find that any kind of like flowing action, anytime I can kind of get into the center of my body, especially in the hips, that really helps me just to break up any residual energy, right? And let's take this in the opposite direction this time. So going in the opposite direction, whatever way you took before, we'll just switch it up. Yeah, and you can involve your head and neck in this too if you really want to just use your full body. So there's really no right or wrong way to do this. We're simply we're moving. And coming back to your breath. Connecting to that sacral space, that sacral chakra that is responsible for our creativity, right? Our joy, our pleasure principle. Just getting into those areas. Beautiful. Let's come back to seated, coming back to an upright position. Well done. Now from here, we're just going to take this side to side. So some lateral stretching here just to open up the body. So on your next inhale, I'm going to come down onto my right forearm for this first one. So I'm going to inhale. I'm going to bring my left arm up, and exhale. Just reach up and over. getting into the right side of the body, getting into the left intercostal space. And then on my next inhalation, I'm gonna come up, and then exhale, I'm gonna switch sides. Beautiful, and inhale, and exhale, and inhale up. Exhale, we'll reach up and over, and inhale, and exhale. Let's go for one more round, and inhale, and exhale. Fantastic job. We'll come back to seated, and then from here all we're simply going to do is just keep this leg configuration that we have established, and then we're just going to reach forward. So hinging from the waist, I like to come up onto my fingertips, elongating through the spinal column. And then once you have that, of course, if you want to sink a little bit deeper into the stretch, you can, but just getting a gentle hip opening here before we continue on in our practice. Breathing into any areas that feel fatigued, that feel a little tight. Gorgeous. Now from here, on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and walk those hands back up to seated, and then we'll switch our cross legs. So I had my right leg in front, so this time I'm going to take my left leg forward, okay? And once again, we're going to do that same thing, just coming into a simple seated stretch here, coming up onto the fingertips for support, and of course, hinging forward if that feels appropriate, going a little bit deeper. Just a gentle way to get into that hip space, releasing any tension. All right, we'll stay for one more inhale and exhale. Beautiful job. Now from here on your next inhalation, let's come back to seated, and then from here we're going to transition into tabletop pose. So coming up onto hands and knees, taking the hands about shoulder distance apart, the knees will be about hip distance apart, and yeah, we're just going to continue to flow from here. So on your next inhalation, let's come into cow pose. So heart comes forward, spine is nice and arched, the gaze is forward. And then exhale, let's reverse all that by coming into cat. So doming the spine, drawing the navel in towards center. Good, and inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. We'll go for a few more rounds, friends. Inhale. And exhale. Good. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Let's meet back in a neutral spine, tabletop pose, and continuing with this flowing action, let's just take the hips in some circles. So starting towards the direction of the right wall here. So again, I want to invite you just to take any degree of movement here. If you need to make this bigger, more expansive. If you want to close your eyes, I want to encourage you throughout the practice to close your eyes, go inward, connect to your breath, connect to your energy. And this should just feel really good, right? Again, nothing too technical, nothing too demanding today. And then we'll take this in the opposite direction this time. So going towards the left wall, pausing in any places that feel maybe a little tight, any places that might need just a little extra TLC, right? Good, and always connecting your breath with each movement. Gorgeous. Let's come back to center. We'll meet back in a neutral spine, tabletop pose. Great job. And now from here, we're gonna take thread the needle pose. So on my next inhalation, I'm gonna send that right hand, right arm up towards the side here, towards that right wall. As I exhale, I'm gonna thread my right arm underneath the left, resting on my right temple here for support, coming up onto my left fingertips. Of course, you're always welcome to play around with the setup here. You can extend that left arm out in front of you like I'm demonstrating here. Some of you may have the ability to reach back and grab onto the top thigh, the right thigh here with that left hand, okay? So these are all just options and just taking whatever makes sense for you, right? We're not doing anything too demanding today. We're just flowing. We're recalibrating our energy, letting go of any energetic residue, anything that is just not serving us, right? We'll stay for another inhale and exhale. Good. On your next inhalation, let's come back up onto the left hand. We'll unthread that right arm. We'll send it out towards the side once again just to set up, placing the right hand back down to meet the left. And we'll get this on the other side. On your next inhale, left arm comes up and away. Exhale, we'll thread that left arm underneath the right, coming into thread the needle pose. And again, you have some options here, friends. You can just stay up on the right hand for support. You can extend through the right forearm, or some of you, if you want to reach back and catch the left thigh with that right hand, you are welcome to do that too. All right, we'll stay for one more inhale here, friends. Exhale, let that go. On your next inhalation, let's go ahead and come up onto that right hand. We'll send that left arm off to the side, resetting, coming back into tabletop pose. And yeah, before we go further, let's just take a very brief child's pose. Just take an opportunity to get off the wrist. Come back to your intention for this class. And of course, friends, you are welcome to stay in child's pose for as long as needed, but if you're ready to move on with me, let's go ahead and make our way into our first downward facing dog of the class. Especially with this first down dog and with today's theme, I really do want you to move around as needed, explore, readjust, shifting your weight, maybe bicycling out the feet, maybe just gently shaking the head no. And yes, letting go of any tension in the upper back as well. Very good, friends. Now from here, you can stay just as you are, but if you'd like to add on here in your downward facing dog, what we're gonna do first, we're gonna just take a deeper bend in that right knee and just allow the left side of the body just to come into a gentle twist here towards that left wall. Okay, so you can take that option if that feels good to you. If you want to take what I like to do in my own personal practice, I like to shift my weight. So I'm going to pivot my feet towards the left wall here. Notice I'm resting on the outer edge of my my right foot in this case, coming up onto the sole of the left foot. What I do from here is I reach up and over with my left arm towards the front wall. Good, lifting up through the hips here. I just love getting this nice side stretch, but again, that's just an option. You could take either one, but we're gonna go ahead and switch sides here. So on your next inhale, let's come back to center. Let's come back into downward facing dog. This time, if you liked that option of just taking a deeper bend in the left knee, twisting the right side of the body towards the right wall here, you could take that. Or if you wanna take my option, you can pivot onto the outer edge of the left foot this time, reaching up towards the front wall. Good, allowing the hips to come up towards the ceiling. Nice, let's just do that one more time. So we'll move a little bit quicker this time. So again, if you want to bend that right knee, you're welcome to. Otherwise, we're just gonna pivot and shift our weight, reaching with that left arm. Good, let's come back to center one more time. We'll twist towards the right wall. Good, just a different way of approaching downward facing dog, right? Beautiful, beautiful. Now from here, friends, let's go ahead and come back into downward facing dog. I want you to take a deeper bend in those knees, yeah, and we're just gonna simply walk those hands back till we're in forward fold here, allowing that head, allowing the neck just to hang heavy, letting go of any tension in the upper back. If you wanna grab onto opposite elbows, you're welcome to. Allowing the breath to be even, coming back to that steady cadence we established at the beginning of the practice. Now from here, if you'd like, you can interlace your fingers, friends, and place it at the base of the head here, so kind of near the nape of the neck. I'm going to interlace my fingers. I'm going to hug my elbows in towards center so they're bent and drawing in towards center here. And all I'm going to do is just oh so gently, I'm just going to press my head against my hands here. And notice how that creates space in the head and neck. Good. Just a gentle release here before we continue on in our flow. Good. On your next inhalation, let's go ahead and let that go. If you took the fingers interlaced, good. And exhale, we'll come back into forward fold. On your next inhalation, let's roll up slowly to standing, taking all the time that you need, one vertebrae at a time. Good. All right. So this is going to be about the hardest thing we do in this entire class. We're just going to do one sun salutation A, just one, okay? And as we go along through it, I really want you just to milk it, really get into it. If you are really familiar with sun salutation A, like you know it like the back of your hand, I want to challenge you, close your eyes during the entirety of it, okay? And just listen to my voice and see how that experience kind of shifts things for you, okay? Otherwise, go ahead and watch me on your next inhalation. Let's sweep both arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, let's come back into forward fold. So we've already been here before. Inhale, halfway lift. So pressing the fingertips against the shins or the floor beneath you. Exhale, let's go ahead and bend both knees, placing the hands down. Let's come back into downward facing dog one more time. Moving around as needed. Good. Now from here, on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and shift our weight forward into plank pose here. So yogi's choice. You could either take cobra pose, lowering all the way down onto the floor. You could take upward facing dog if you prefer. So pressing into the hands, coming up into this back bend, nice and gentle, nice and sweet. And then from here, let's go ahead and press ourselves back into downward facing dog. And again, any degree of movement here in your downward facing dog. Come back to your breath. Reset in any way. And of course, child's pose is always an option for you if you need that. All right, friends, we're gonna add on from here. So on your next inhalation, that right leg is gonna come up and back towards the ceiling. As you exhale, let's take this into downward facing dog with a twist here. So that right foot is coming over towards the left wall. Yeah, and if you wanna roll out your ankle, you're welcome to. Again, finding some movement here, getting a gentle hip opening. From here, on your next inhalation, that right leg is going to come up and back behind you. So listen carefully. We're going to take this a little different today. So inhale from three-legged dog. Exhale. We're going to come forward into pigeon pose. Okay? But in this pigeon pose, we're going to work in a way that's a little bit more dynamic, flowing a little bit with it. So if you want to just stay put here in pigeon, you're welcome to do that. But I want to encourage you just to kind of gently sway. You can walk those hands forward here. I like to kind of come forward, touch, and then about midway here up onto my hands, and then all the way back up into pigeon. And notice I'm kind of just like rocking my hips a little bit side to side. So like I said, getting into those lower chakras, getting into those lower energy centers. And of course, if you want to come down onto the forearms, you're welcome to do that and just stay put. If you have it in your practice, friends, you can stay on that left forearm and you can reach back with the right hand, catching the left foot in this case, getting a touch here for the quads. So really just make this your own. We're only going to be here for 2 more cycles of breath. So do what you need to do with that time. Good. We'll stay for an inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Very good. So wherever you're at, let's go ahead and make our way back into pigeon pose, coming upright onto the hands. And any way you'd like to make your way back, we're gonna come back into downward facing dog here. So I'm gonna press down into the hands, shifting my weight back. Yeah, take a moment here, pedal out the feet. Come back to your breath on your next inhale. And we're gonna get this all on the other side, okay, friends? So on your next inhalation, that left leg comes up and back for 3-legged dog. Exhale, let's take this over into down dog with the twist. And again, if you like that option of rolling out the ankle, sometimes I like to just extend and rebend that leg too. That always feels good to me. Good. On your next inhalation, let's come back into 3-legged dog. Exhale, you know where we're headed. We're coming into pigeon pose. And just notice the difference between the right and left side. One side might feel a little bit more fatigued, a little tighter than the other, and that's fine. Readjust, modify as needed. And again, some of you may just want to stay put and just sit in this posture. Some of you may feel inclined to move a little bit. And again, it's kind of like a gentle rocking motion that I'm taking. And again, it's just optional if you want to walk the hands forward and then gently start to bring them back towards midline. You can take that as an option. For my yogis that enjoyed that catching of the back foot, you can come down onto the forearms. So right here, I'm going to balance on my right forearm for support, reaching back for the right foot with the left hand. Taking this into not only a hip opening stretch, but stretch also for the quads as well. But again, these are just options, not requirements. Only take what makes sense for you, for your body at this specific point in time, okay? And we'll stay here for 2 more cycles of breath, starting on your next inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Very good. So from here, let's go ahead and let that go. We'll all make our way back into pigeon pose, and from pigeon, let's make our way back into downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet here for a moment, friends. You need to shift your weight a little bit side to side, go for it. And once again, let's go ahead and step our feet about hip distance apart. We'll bend the knees. Let's just walk the hands back once again into forward fold. We'll be here just for a moment. So let's just stay for the inhale. And exhale. Good. And once again, like links of a chain, we're just going to roll up to standing, nice and slow. Good. You can roll the shoulders down and away. All right, friends, so we're gonna come to seated, but we're gonna take straddle pose. So we'll take the feet out wide here, but not so wide that, you know, you're causing any type of strain on the body. We wanna just keep this nice and easy for today. So not too much, not too little, but just right, okay? So just taking whatever degree of movement you need here. We're gonna go ahead and start to come forward into our straddle pose. Yeah, and you know, we are moving around today, so if you want to kind of take this side to side, kind of walking the hands down the center, over towards the opposite leg. I'm definitely feeling this in the lower back, so in the quadratus lumborum, just like an area of the body that gets really tight on us. And especially if we've been, you know, overexerting ourselves in any way, it's just nice to release that area. Nice to release the lower back, the area near the adrenal glands. Good, and we'll stay here for 2 more rounds of breath, starting on your next inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Very good. Once again, on your next inhalation, let's come back up to seated, coming back up onto the hands. Let's bring those legs together here. Good. And yeah, you know what? Let's just get a really brief counter pose before we continue. So I'm going to lean back onto my hands. I'm going to take my feet about mat distance apart and just, yeah, let those knees go side to side here just for a second before we transition into our last half of class. So I really just have 2 more poses for you guys here, and then we will be on our way. So from here, let's make our way onto our back. So supine position, coming down all the way onto our backs here. So we are gonna take bridge pose. So just two rounds of bridge, okay? Again, nothing too intrusive or anything like that, but I find that this is really helpful. Any type of back bending is really good for just helping us elevate our energy levels, okay? So from here, I'm gonna take my feet about hip distance apart here, and if I were to bring my forearms down, I should just barely be able to touch the back heel, okay? That's about where you want your setup here before you come into bridge pose, okay? So with that said, let's go ahead and bring the forearms down alongside the body here. I'm pressing down into the feet. I'm rolling my shoulder heads and my shoulder blades down and alongside my body, kind of like puffing up my chest a little bit. And from here, on my next inhale, I'm gonna just gently peel my hips and my spine off the floor, kind of slowly inching my way down here, drawing the shoulder blades down and away from me. Good. Let's just hold here for 3 rounds of breath. So starting on an inhale through the nose and exhale and inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale. Very good. On your next inhalation, let's slowly start to draw our spine back onto the floor. Yeah, if you want to hug the knees in towards your chest here for a second, you can rock side to side here, nice and gently. Okay, so you have some options, friends, and this is only if you're feeling ready for it or if it feels like this makes sense for you. So you can take bridge pose once again for 3 cycles of breath, or if you have Urdhva Dhanurasana, wheel pose in your practice, I'm going to invite you to take that. So I'm going to take wheel just to take it. I'll kind of talk you through it as we go along, but otherwise I want you to come into bridge once again, okay? But if you are setting up for wheel pose, it's almost identical to bridge. So we're going to start with the feet hip distance apart here. And then what I'm gonna do, and ladies, if you have long hair, just watch your hair here that it doesn't get caught underneath you. That's happened to me before. And I'm gonna bring my hands back. My wrists are gonna be facing towards the back wall here. So my hands are gonna be here alongside my head. My elbows are up towards the ceiling. And what I like to do first, I like to come up onto the crown of my head to begin. Again, watch your hair here. And then from here, I'm gonna press down firmly into the hands, firmly into the feet. Sometimes I like to walk my feet in a little bit. Sometimes I like to come up onto the balls of my feet. It really just depends on what I'm working with. But we're gonna hold here for 3 cycles of breath, starting on an inhale. So bridge or wheel, and exhale, and inhale, and exhale, and inhale, and exhale. Good. On your next inhalation, we'll come back down. Whew, that was really hard to talk and do that at the same time. All right, friends, let's get a quick counter pose. So on your next inhalation, let's draw that right knee into center. The left leg is down and alongside the mat. And let's just take this into a gentle twist. So bringing that right knee over towards the left side of your yoga mat. Come back to your breath. Come back to your intention for this class. good. And then we'll come back up to center. And if you want to hug the knees in towards your chest, you are welcome to do that. All right, and then we'll take this on the other side. So right leg will come down alongside the mat. Let's take this over into a twist over towards the right wall. Just nice, gentle way to end our practice. Beautiful, and we'll come back to our breath on our next inhale through the nose. Exhale, let that go. On your next inhalation, we'll come back to center, hugging the knees in towards our chest. And however way you want to come back up to seated, we will rock up and close off our practice here together. Of course, if you want to take seated meditation, if you need to take Shavasana, I would highly recommend that you do that as well. But I always like to close off these practices with you. And thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that your energy just feels shifted. I hope you feel lighter. I hope you feel freer. I hope you feel less fatigued, less burnt out, and just coming back home to yourself from this practice, okay? If you are enjoying my content, I would love your support in the form of your likes and your subscription to the channel. Leave me some comments. Let me know if this class has helped you in any way. And I will see you guys in the next video. Namaste.